right, let's get this show started. Thank you everyone for joining for this really special event. You are responding to our call to explore with us the art responders, and we have two incredible art responders with us today that we're going to introduce very soon. Just very excited to be here with you this evening. I'm in San Francisco. Our art responders today are in New York City. If you're just joining us and want to introduce yourselves, share where you're calling in from, build a little community together. If you've ever heard of Raga music before, if this is your first time, I'd be really curious to know. I've been getting exposed to it myself over the last number of weeks, and I'm very excited that we are going to get a chance to experience it together tonight. So let's see, is anyone in the chat yet? I'm trying to see if my chat, sometimes there's slow uptake. There we go. All right, Holly, thank you. Sausalito, California, just across. And when she says the bridge, I don't know if people know where that bridge is, but that is the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, so we have fans of our art responders. We have Santa Cruz, Jersey, New York, San Jose, Seattle. Fabulous. It's so good to see everybody. We have fans of Raga, so it seems like there are some folks out there that are predisposed to the greatness that we're about to witness. All right, let's get started. So my name is Brad Wolf. I'm the founder and executive director of Reimagine. Reimagine, for those of you who are new, we are an organization, a nonprofit organization that is aimed at transforming the hardest things that we face together. Really, death, dying, serious illness, and then the grief that arises from those things. But really our emphasis is on, with a belief rather, that in facing those things, we might begin to actually live more fully, to celebrate one another more, to follow our purpose more, to treat each other with more loving kindness. And we as an organization have a real focus on the inequities and injustices that surround the way that we die and how that actually manifests all the way through our lives. So it's just really good to be here in this time together with you, thinking about how we can use creative self-expression to respond to these challenging times. So it is my profound gratitude to thank our festival sponsors, because this event is part of Reimagine Life, Loss, and Love, an ongoing virtual festival that explores these themes. And this event is one of the events that is part of the festival. We've had already 500 events and about 25,000 registrants over the last couple of weeks, thanks to you, and thanks to our sponsors for making this all possible. Honestly, we work based on small donations. So these sponsors and then your contributions are what make this all go. I also want to thank our partner, CTAC. So CTAC is the Coalition to Transform Advanced Care. They're a nonprofit that are friends of ours. They're a nonprofit advocacy organization that is dedicated really to the ideal that all Americans with advanced illness receive comprehensive, high quality, person and family centered care consistent with our goals, our values, and that honors everyone's dignity. So that's something we believe in with CTAC, and they're doing great work around policy and also getting the word out about this event tonight. Now here's my colleague Dara, for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about the technological requirements for today's show. You're already figuring out the chat, and if anyone has a problem or a question, you can email us at hello@letsreimagine.org and we can help get you squared away technologically. If you have questions today for our performers and guests, you can share them in the chat, and maybe there'll be a chance to address a couple of them as the conversation continues. And please, if you can keep your cameras on, it's so nice to see your smiling faces. Your mics are going to be off for this. And that's really that. Now, as you know, if you've been here before, we always begin our events with an intention. And I want to invite my colleague Zubin Desai to read today's intention, and feel free if you feel, to close your eyes during this and just reflect on these words that would set up these events.
There is no life without death, no love without loss. They are in constant complementary motion. In the face of distance, illness, racism, and isolation, we are here, together, reimagining a changed world. Kinder, slower, more just. We are reimagining the giving and receiving of love, the cycles of loss and new beginnings, and what it means to be fully alive. We are here.
Thanks, Zubin. So now I'm very excited to talk a little bit about our guest today. Art Responders, as the name implies, is about how we respond through our creative self-expression to the world around us, and how through expression, whether or not it turns out to be as beautiful as the music we're going to hear, or just the process of sheer creativity, transmutes and transposes and metabolizes what we take in and output something else in a good form, which is one of our core values at Reimagine. And we have two guests today that really do that. Arun Ramamurthy and Trina Basu are co-founders of Brooklyn Raga, which is a collective dedicated to cross-cultural understanding through the lens of Indian classical and Raga-inspired music. They've been hailed by the New Yorkers as leaders of the Raga Renaissance and praised by the New York Times as preserving the past while blurring the genres in an inventive spirit. They've been playing music together since 2007, and their music reimagines the potential of string chamber music for our global times. They perform original compositions that explore the common beauty of South Indian classical, Western chamber music, jazz, creative improvisation, and they're outstanding people who I've had a chance to get to know. So with that said, oh shoot, I'm gonna turn, that's for later. I'm gonna turn this off and say hello, you two.
Hello, it's nice to see everyone. Hi, thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Brad.
Thank you for being here. So I think what is particularly interesting when I first talked to you is you were together during this pandemic, which is rare. So maybe you can share a little bit about how you know each other.
Yeah.
Well, we're married for one.
Yeah.
So I don't know, we met in 2007.
2007.
That's when we met. And we met playing music together, actually. A common friend of ours named Bala Skandan had a band called Akshara, and they're based in New York City. And both of us were living in Brooklyn at that time. And I was playing in that group, I guess. Was I playing in it first, or I don't remember.
I was playing in it first.
Maybe you were. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
To be honest.
But yeah, we met at a rehearsal, and
Right.
I don't know who joined the band first, but we had an instant connection, I think, musically for sure, and we became friends over the next couple of years, and then it turned into more than that. So we played music together for like at least 2 years.
Yeah,
Before,
yeah. I think that was actually what really brought us together, was the musical chemistry. You know, two violins can, we're kind of coming from opposite ends, but we have the same goals, and a lot of it is about bridging sort of cultural lines within us, and we're both after the same thing, which is similar, honestly. Like you mentioned Brooklyn Raga Massive, and I think that's also a common thread there. So there's a lot of musicians that are considered, or we consider ourselves, multicultural, and trying to find the commonalities between the things inside of us is what I think we were really drawn to in each other.
So what is this music, Raga music? How do you describe it, or what's special and unique about it? Tell us about it, the music that sparked this love.
Well, I mean, Raga music specifically is a form of music from India, and the subcontinent of India, because it does exist in what is now Pakistan and Sri Lanka and Nepal and other regions in the subcontinent. But it's, raga itself are like scales, and these are kind of an ancient idea. They're modes that have a lot of specific movements and ornaments that make them full ragas, that make them have given them the full personality, and they're frameworks that we can improvise with. So you may have a scale which is like the major scale, which that's the same across the world, but then the ornaments that we add to these notes give it the personality that make it Shankaravarna, which is what we call the major scale, raga. And then from there, you improvise their compositions. There are different ways to express the emotion of that raga.
Yeah. And so when we to set up the first piece, I'd love you to. I mean, I know everyone's itching to hear you play some music. To set up this first piece, maybe you could share with us how playing this music together, or playing raga music, how it relates to some of the themes that Reimagine touches on.
Yeah. Well, the word raga is Sanskrit, and it actually means to color the mind. So what you were talking about, how each raga has its own personality and its own character and expression. I think that when you kind of get inside of that as a musician and you're playing, of course you're playing with others, and when we first started playing together, two violins also just being the same instrument, kind of that intimate connection of two instruments that are very much the same. There's an element of like having to surrender and like let go so you can fully open yourself up to that other player and that other person, and to listen to what they're saying and respond to them and have this dialogue and this conversation within music. So yeah, that idea of surrender and putting yourself in the other person's shoes and hearing what they're doing and responding to them. And that is a really beautiful part of improvisation in music, and which is very integral to Indian classical music because it's so improvisational based. Yeah.
All right, well, let's go for it. Now I'm even more excited.
So you're going to introduce our first song,
yeah,
right?
Sure. So the first song we're going to do is a song called Tempest that we wrote about 2 or 3 years ago. And a lot of the music that we play is not, straight traditional Carnatic or Hindustani Indian classical music. It's a blend. It's a crossover because, we are filled with multiple genres inside of us. So the music that we're playing is kind of, trying to it crosses a bunch of different genres. But it's all original music. And this one, Tempest, the inspiration behind it was a storm, and we were following the course of a storm and envisioning this. And I feel like in the last couple of months, the song kind of took new meaning for us in the way we see communities interacting with each other, the polarization of people, the ups and downs that we all go through. So with that context, I guess we'll start with Tempest. Change the volume.
Yeah. Thank
Woo.
you.
All right, I clap for many.
We see them clapping. Thank you all so much.
Okay. Yeah, I love what Janet Steinberg wrote, the comment in the chat here. The music is meditative in the wildest way.
Aw.
And
Thank
it
you.
really does. It really does have those components. I don't know. It's. I can see. I can see how you guys fell in love. When was the first time you ever played music, just the two of you?
Yeah, I think it was around 2007.
Yeah,
2007. So it's been over 10 years, 12, 13 years. We've been married for 8 years. Yesterday was our anniversary. So 8 years of marriage and
yeah,
12 years of playing music about.
yeah. And in the beginning, we were playing in that band, but really, maybe we'll switch the
I'm
lights.
going to turn this
The
up.
we played so much, we practiced the music together, and like we were saying, it's all improvised, right? So there might be a song that's in a raga, right? But then you don't have to just play that song. You can go and just elaborate on that raga and find new things within it. And like what we're doing now is, I mean, our music together has evolved quite a bit over the years. And we're finding harmony, and we're finding different ways to depart from conventional ragas or the ways of treating the ragas. We kind of are finding our own unique ways of um, putting ourselves into it, and that's evolved over time of playing together.
I love to hear. I think what you're doing. You're both Americans,
Right.
but tying together music from another continent. And there's this relationship. I know you have two sons,
Yes.
and there's this idea of legacy and the past meeting the future. I'm wondering, when you think about your music and you think about your family, what is the relationship there?
Yeah, well, I'll start. I grew up in Florida, and I started playing the violin when I was 5, and in the public school system. Um, and went on to play, throughout my childhood, and then went to college and studied music. And I was trained in Western classical music, and I played in orchestras and did summer camps, and chamber music. And I'm of mixed heritage, so my father's from India and my mother's from Canada. And as I entered college and realized that I always grew up listening to all kinds of different music, but I kind of realized that I could try these things out, at some point. And I think that I was definitely drawn to Indian classical music because of my heritage, and I thought that was a wonderful way for me to connect to my roots musically through something that was so important and meaningful and deep for me. Music had always been a place where it was my refuge. I could express myself, but I loved the idea of, tapping into Indian classical music and just the music from my culture, as well as improvisation, because I thought how liberating it would be to be able to create my own music. So I think that was, really my entry point was through my culture. And it's been really an amazing journey, and I think music for me, has always been a way to connect who I am, and I'm always discovering new things about myself and my own journey, and myself as a mixed race person, and as a woman, and somebody who has parents who are immigrants, and all these different facets of who I am, that music has been an amazing place for me to find self-reflection, and express that into the world and discover myself for myself. So, yeah, so I was able to go to India in 2007, early 2007, and study there for 6 months and really like dive in. But my introduction to Indian music started in college, and I was just lucky to have wonderful teachers along the way that took me under their wing and taught me, and then I've met, so many different musicians along the way. But it's been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
I think for me the theme is similar as far as music being sort of a way of finding yourself or finding out who you really are. I'm born and raised here, and I was born in New Jersey, and my parents came to this country from India in 1970, and my mother is a Carnatic singer, So she doesn't perform now, but she used to perform quite a bit. And she's really my first teacher. And she taught me how to sing. Everything is sung in Carnatic music and in Indian classical music in general. Everything is sung. So I learned from her, and then I learned from some teachers here in New Jersey. Um, and my parents were very instrumental in sort of setting a foundation, kind of a whole background at home with music. But my mom's mom was really, like my grandmother, was kind of the inspiration of music in my family. And she played violin, and she's the reason that I played the violin, and I was very close to her. She's one of the only, the only grandparent that I had the fortune to be with, and we had a very close relationship. And she lived in India though, so I didn't get to see her as often. But when I did, there was always a very strong connection through music. And for me, this music is a way of me connecting to my Indian heritage. It's something that I feel I have inside of me more than anything else that makes me Indian. And my grandmother and that connection I had with her was really strong through this. And she always used to tell me to be very, to own the music you make, be yourself, be unique. Don't try to be like somebody else, but put your stamp on your music, put yourself into it. And that was very powerful for me. And that's something that, with our kids, we have two boys, 6 years old and 3 years old, and they love music and they're learning it and they're taking things in. And we want to pass, some of this on to them. And it's our way of passing on our ancestry through
Do you
them.
guys have a family band?
Kind of. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, we
unavoidable.
call it that.
Our kids
Every
love to
day.
just like jam out, sing, play drums. They're playing violin. Our oldest is playing violin, so maybe we will have an
Yeah.
official family
They're watching
band
right
at
now.
some
They are
point.
probably going
Yeah.
crazy.
The next art responders, we're bringing the whole family. We've got to,
Yeah.
the love expands.
Yeah.
So as you think about family, can you tell us a little bit as you are about to play another piece for us? This idea of our ancestors and yours in particular, I guess, what they've had to really lose along the way on their journey of and the idea of migration and immigration and just how that threads into maybe the next piece in your own story.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, so the next piece is called Migration, and it was inspired by the idea of journeys and migrating, whether that be an actual journey and a migration across lands and oceans, crossing cultures and religion, or whether that be just a journey that you take within yourself, and that we kind of wouldn't be here today without the journeys that our families took, because there is a lot of loss in traveling across the sea and leaving everything behind, leaving your family behind, and the risks that our parents and grandparents and great grandparents and everybody in our pasts have taken. That they've lost some things along the way, but so much has been gained also, and that we are here today and like we enjoy the life that we have today because of the sacrifices that our family made. So yeah, like our parents are from India, and then my mom is from Canada, so she's, I guess, technically an immigrant, but it's not that far off, far away. But yeah, they came here in the 60s and in 70s, and sacrificed a lot, but they also came here, and gained so much. So
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of the ups and downs of what you gain. You do lose a lot, and you have to come and you have to leave your family there. You have to leave some of the cultural things that you leave behind at home. But then when you come to a new place, things change, they modify, and they become new customs and new traditions, which then get passed on. So the song we're going to play is called Migration, and it's kind of, these ideas were the inspiration behind this piece.
yeah, you'll hear kind of like moments of like the journey of feeling the bliss and the ease and the joy in making new pathways in your life, and then you'll also feel the kind of turmoil and the angst and difficulty that comes with taking these new steps. So this is called Migration, and it is dedicated to all those who came before us.
Turn yourself down more than you do
Having secret love talk now.
last time.
Just changing our levels. All right.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you.
nice. All right, why are you laughing? Is it just
It's
It's always those like moments of like, oh, are we gonna hit that note together? Are we gonna land? Are we gonna end in time together?
it's funny because I was laughing because it's like at the end of the song and then there's deafening silence in
Right.
the room. You know that's Zoom for you though.
A little awkward.
yeah? No, it was. I love that song. Yeah, I think I don't know if you named it first or you wrote it and then named it, but I definitely feel like it captures the spirit of what you describe it as. One of the questions we had before in the chat, and I'm wondering if you could answer this, it's interesting. Do you, in the music, do the songs have, do you see them as either masculine or feminine as an energy as you think about them? There was a question about the first song, and I'm just curious if you conceptualize them in that way.
I don't think I do. I mean, I think we that's what's I mean in music like you can kind of express both sides, you know, and everything in between and on all sides of it. So, kind of depends on like how we're feeling in the moment and how it comes out because a lot of it is improvisational. So, you know, we can go very, you know, you saw a lot of different moods in that last piece and it's kind of like just how we're feeling in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say masculine or feminine specifically, but definitely I think they're tied to emotions or feelings, and I think we think about that consciously and you know, so different emotions could be tied to masculine or feminine. You know, it doesn't mean one or the other. So you know, I think they're very much tied to emotion, though.
You're like, you must be angry today.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, you know, and depending on the day, the songs sometimes come out differently.
Yeah,
Or
for
like
sure.
the improvisations very well may come out differently.
Yep.
So that's what's kind of nice.
So speaking of improvisation, we've obviously all had to do a lot of improvisation in our lives and been faced with so much swirling around all of us, so much change and grief. And I'm curious what this period has been like for both of you.
Well, we're based in Brooklyn, so of course, like you know, we were kind of in the epicenter of everything for a long time, and so we have two kids, as we mentioned, and you know, a lot of our lives over the past 3 months has been like you know in the house and spending time together and really nurturing that like family life, and making sure that our kids are okay and that you know we're homeschooling and all those things kind of took up I feel like a large chunk of our energy. And so, in terms of kind of being creative over the last 3 months, even though I think we felt the urge, you know, with everything going on, we definitely felt the urge to somehow figure out how to process it and put it out there in a creative way. There was not really the mind space and the time to do so. So, a lot of it has just been like processing things as a family, slowing everything down, appreciating and feeling grateful for what we have, and just grateful for all the people who are out there doing such amazing work to keep everybody safe, and that we just felt really lucky to be able to stay at home and have everything we had, that we needed to survive, and more. So that's what it's been. I've also been teaching and working with kids, with some of my students, on remotely, and it's been really amazing to connect with them and see them every week and work on something creative with them, because I think through this time especially, and now with the Black Lives Matters and the movement towards racial equality, and really to kind of stand up and make our voices be heard, with all the marches and everything happening, that the kids are feeling these things, and they're not processing it maybe in the same way we are, and they're not expressing it in the same way, or able to kind of talk about it, but they're feeling it. And so it's important that we talk to them about it, and we give them these creative outlets like music and art and dance, and all of these things are so important at times like this. So while they were all homeschooling and on Zoom and Google Classrooms and stuff doing their work, which is all super important, it's also really important to kind of keep the arts going, because that's like a way for them to like express and do it in a positive way.
Yeah,
and so that's been amazing.
That's been one of the biggest challenges, I think, has been how to have the kids cope with everything. And it teaches us a lot about how we have to cope with it, but it's a crazy world right now, right? There's a lot going on. I mean, COVID is one thing, and that, in a way, as Trina was saying, we've been in quarantine and we've been here by ourselves, but it also allows you to become and think and be grateful for the things that you have, that we're grateful for the fact that we can quarantine, that we have a space to be safe, and that we have access to food and all those kind of things. So we feel grateful for that. When you think about everything surrounding the Black Lives Matters movement, those are heavy conversations and real conversations that need to be had with children, and to talk about race, and to be aware of race, and to be conscious of these things from an early age. And I think we think about, and we talk together about how we can discuss with our kids, and how we can improve ourselves in the way we think. And I feel like it ties back to that idea of surrender and empathy, and how taking down your walls, letting yourself be vulnerable, allows you to open up to understand other people. And with music, sometimes we try to, I guess, practice that. In music you can practice it, and it can be this like tangible thing, and then you try to maybe move those same ideologies into your regular life also. And I see that we have a picture of Elijah McClain, and a couple of weeks ago, Trina and I, we played in a vigil for Elijah, a violin vigil, because he was a violinist and a gentle soul. And there was a vigil for him in Washington Square Park, which is in Manhattan. And with two small kids, it was going to be challenging to go there. So we found a collection, or a group of violin teachers that were local in Brooklyn, and we met at Grand Army Plaza right here by Prospect Park. And there was probably like 20, 25 violinists, students, professionals, all ages, that came and played, and we played music together. And it was one of the more powerful things that I've experienced. And so I think whatever ways we can try to connect with each other. Like, what was great about that circle was there was people from all parts of the world, and different colors and different races and different genders, but everybody was kind of playing together. So it was beautiful.
And so I put up this slide here because as you started talking about Black Lives Matter in this story, I mean, Elijah McClain, he was a violin player, and I know that affected you. And maybe you could share a little bit about the piece, the final piece you would play for us this evening.
Yeah, so the piece was, we just felt, we were talking about it and thinking about and feeling that we wanted to kind of make a song that was dedicated to him, and what a beautiful person he was, and really all the lives that have been lost. And it's just, right. It's endless. The list goes on. But he was a violinist, and I think that, it's been just really I guess, and inspiring and beautiful to see all of the different vigils happening around the country, musicians coming together, string players coming together, and in his memory, black led vigils all over the country in different cities. And so we wanted to write this piece. It's really a work in progress. It's not done, but kind of some of the essence is there, and we try to bring out, some sorrow and mournfulness in the piece through some of the ragas and things that we're bringing in, musical elements. And then there's also this element of like standing up and taking action and doing something about it, which we see in the marches and everything happening around the country. So
Yeah, so part of Art Responders series is about taking risks and responding through your art and expression. So the fact that you're sharing this with us now unfinished means a lot to us as an audience. And just want to put up this quote, which I can keep up during the song for you to read. These were Elijah's last words that were captured by audio.
All right.
Right,
So the song is called For Elijah.
that's one, two.
Thank you, Arun, Ramamurthy, and Trina Basu. What a couple of musicians, of humans, and it's a great couple, period. If I would love it if those of you who are listening, if you could share your gratitude for our art responders, what you took from their performance today, from their words, from your inspiration. It's just great to see people who have embraced music as a way to live and process and love. And I'm sure that everyone you come in contact with kind of feels it through, given that music's an expression of who we are. I'm sure that they feel it even when you're not playing the music. So it's just, thank you so much. Yeah, you made this very special. And
Thank you so much for having us.
Great.
And all of you for coming.
It was very meaningful for us also to do this. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and so to your point about the vigils, I just want to let everyone know as we're leaving today that tomorrow, in fact, and I want to come back to this slide in one sec, but I think this is important as well. But tomorrow we have a vigil ourselves, because tomorrow actually marks the 6-month anniversary from the first reported death of COVID-19 back on January 9th in Wuhan. So that was just 6 months ago. What a crazy 6 months, obviously. And then the same day actually marks the 1-month anniversary of George Floyd's funeral. So we are hosting a vigil with palliative care leader, keynote TED speaker, Dr. B.J. Miller, who has faced death himself as an amputee, and our friend Leon Ford, who is a Black man who was shot 5 times by the Pittsburgh police at the age of 19 in a case of mistaken identity, and now is in a wheelchair at the age of 27. But both of these men have hearts of gold and have really responded to some of the most harrowing situations in life, facing death head on, to then use that as fuel to live their life with such intention and grace and love, in the same way that honestly you're modeling through your music tonight. So I would invite everyone for free to participate in this vigil to honor those we've lost tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then of course to be here next week, which I'll talk about in one second. I want to also share with you how to follow you two, the Brooklyn and Raga Massive. You each have your own websites, which I would really point people to. I don't know, do you have a couple website? I mean, I appreciate you performing together, but then you have separate websites. That's where the rubber really meets the road, the website. So check out both of their websites, and please just keep listening to their music, because it really opens the gateway to a combination of new cultures for many people and to new ways of expression. And hopefully it can fuel everyone out there to find your own form of expression in this time, to improvise and to create in the face of what really calls for improvisation. Yeah. We're all making music just by the way we're living our lives right now. So with that, next week, we have another incredible musician, Emily Wells, for our Art Responder series. She's been hailed by NPR as breathtaking, mind-blowing, and visionary, and I've had a chance to talk to her and see what she's up to, and she's just, I mean, if you like tonight, if you like these others, you'll love this. And then leave you with this question: how might you respond? That's really the challenge that we're all in right now. How do we respond? And by showing up together in community, that's a great way to be. So thanks again to our guests, and we'll see you next hour. I don't know. There's more Reimagine events happening every hour. We'll see you at least tomorrow, hopefully, and next week. Thanks again, Arun and Trina.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night, everyone.
And thanks to the Reimagine staff. Thanks, everybody. Why don't we close it off and then see who we see, and we can just say one big goodbye. We can maybe unmute everyone, and we can just all just go to gallery and just share the love.
Oh, see some friends.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, thank you all for
Thank
coming.
you for all coming.
Joining us tonight.
Oh, it's so
sharing
nice to see so
with
many
us.
people. Wow. Beautiful.
All right, everyone. Wave goodbye to our stars.
Yes.
You. Thanks again. Thanks
Bye,
to,
all.
thanks to the office team for all your support, our sound engineer and Cole. We're going to keep figuring out how Zoom, we can make musicians sound amazing on Zoom. As you guys played, you overcame a lot with that. And then Stacy, thank you so much for organizing this. And everyone, have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, musicians.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Okay.
And check out the chat, you guys. There's some good stuff on the chat there for
That's so nice.
With that
we'll
now.
send you a copy of what's in the chat so you can just
Beautiful.
hear some feedback, because you deserve a lot of
Yeah.
positive feedback if you don't get enough from your kids.
Aw.
Bye, friends.
Nice. Oh, no, I need to